8th of June 2023, and I will adjourn the meeting. So we're going to keep going with the ordinary meeting. Do we have anyone to move the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move them.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 14th of June 2023 be confirmed.
Righto. And do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Any opposition? Then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'll abstain, thank you.
Righto. All those against?
It's nil. So it'd be 7.
Okay, so that would be 7-1. If I can call for a division. Okay, now, any other minutes? Or we'll get on to the agenda.
Through the chair, just that's the only set of minutes.
Righto then, if there's nothing else, we'll move on with 8.1, other change to existing material change of use, reference 2018/1982348. Do we have a mover?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll move it. Can I ask who we got in?
Yeah, through the chair, I just asked the Director of Environment and Planning.
What the changes were, I guess, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, it's Manager Danielle online here. I can answer this question if you'd like me to.
You're right. Thanks. I didn't realise you were there, Danielle. Thank you.
That's okay. So the resolution amendment is proposed to correct an error in the officer's recommendation that carried through to the resolution. So when the application was lodged, it's obviously for a petroleum recovery plant, and that includes 2 environmentally relevant activities that are licensed by the state. One's for chemical storage and the other one for chemical manufacturing. And during the assessment, we got the state response back, and it mistakenly only referenced the one ERA, which we then carried through in our recommendation. So this amendment is simply just adding the additional reference to the second environmentally relevant activity. It isn't actually changing or having any effect on the use that was proposed on the site.
So, Danielle, can I ask, the amendment, is it just one paragraph, or the addition, I should say?
It's referenced in 2 parts of the resolution. So the very first part, where it describes the development that's proposed, it'll reference ERA 7 and ERA 8. And then there is also a condition that refers to the ERA. So this amendment just includes that reference in those two parts of the resolution. All of the other conditions remain the same.
So reading 1, maybe. Page 57. Page. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Is that clear?
Yep.
Yes, that's number 1.
Oh, okay, righto, yeah.
The use.
So, Councillor McMullen, you happy to move that?
Yeah, I'll move.
Just through the chair, Councillor McMullen might be easy to read off the screen.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that Council amend Resolution 0M/06.2023-02 to read as follows: the change application to the existing development approval for a material change of use for a low impact industry, expansion of an existing industrial activity, medium impact industry, petroleum recovery plant, and ERAs 7 in brackets 5, chemical manufacturing, and 8 brackets 3, chemical storage, located at Warrego Highway, Bungil, described as Lot 69 on SP 206879 be approved subject to the listed conditions and general advice. That use the one. That's all. I don't have to read anything else. No, that's all. Thank you. The rest of it is listed.
Do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second it, Mr Mayor.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
No,
Or
thanks,
against?
Mr Mayor. No, thanks.
Righto. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. All those against?
Be 8-0, Mr Mayor.
8-0. Thank you. Righto. Moving on.
To page 68.
Thank you. 8.2, Roma Saleyards Stakeholder Committee. I'd like to move that Council 1 acknowledge that the General Manager, Roma Saleyards, is in place. Accordingly, set up a Roma Saleyards Stakeholder Committee that includes external stakeholders, Council's General Manager chairing, and optional attendance by councillors as observers. 3, commence these meetings on a monthly basis, 1st of July 2023.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
We have a seconder.
Please.
Please go ahead.
Count.
To the manager, how are you, Dan?
Good, thank you.
Was this a request from you, or is it a request from the stakeholders?
This is something that I've discussed in previous, but it wasn't a direct request from myself.
So, who do you think all the agents will be at them? Like, is it stakeholders, as in the agents? What else?
So my understanding is, and what I would see is we'd have representatives. So some, not necessarily all agents, but agents, vendors, buyers, transporters, DAF, stock squad. Possibly even economic development, so we would try and encompass everyone who utilises the facility or visits there.
Okay. So this is what they had set up before, didn't they?
I was just going to say, Mr Mayor, if I could speak.
Yeah, please go ahead.
While this is similar to the previous advisory groups we had, this one will be chaired by if it gets up, will be chaired by the Daniel, the general manager of the Saleyards. Is that correct?
Correct.
And or anyone, like it'll be up to the agents who they send. In the past, with the advisory groups, they nominated who they were going to send to the meetings, and then in this you're saying all or any councillors can attend, because it's not enough. Yeah.
Correct.
Can I just ask something else as well? Daniel, have you got a time in mind for when you have the meetings? And I'm only requesting that it's not a Wednesday, a council day,
So
or Tuesday.
the initial thoughts were probably a Thursday morning. I'd like possibly some consideration given. So it's currently sitting at monthly. If we can also consider possibly a quarterly meeting, but at the moment it would be Thursday mornings, 9 o'clock is one time that's been advised.
Just a question, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
So on the back of that, do you think that monthly might be too much? Because months do
What
come
I'd
around quickly.
propose instead would be, instead of a monthly one, would be a quarterly one, and then in between the quarterly ones would be a newsletter or some form of public communication. So we can, the way I'd see these would be, we'd be giving a bit of a report card of how we went, informing everyone what we've been up to, what's coming up next, and also a chance for everyone to raise any issues or comments from that. So,
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to speak again. From what I'm hearing, the General Manager, Daniel, will be the chair of the meeting, so yes, we will get an invitation, but if you make it quarterly, there's nothing to stop you. If something happens in the meantime, you can call a meeting with the agents and the other respective stakeholders and say, could we have a meeting next week, you know,
That's correct, and I'll be continuing to catch up with the agents individually and separate stakeholders individually. This will be more of a chance for them all to come and hear the same thing and meet as an official sort of group.
So if that's the case, Councillor McMillan, would you consider changing monthly to maybe minimum of quarterly? And then if you need to pull it, because if we put monthly in here,
yeah, I know.
it'll have to be
just have
monthly,
regular
and that's a lot
basis?
of time. You know, agents are having to give up their time as well.
My suggestion would be, why don't we just put on a regular basis, and then it gets determined at the meeting as to what the participants. I mean, you'll be guiding it as the chair.
Before we answer that question, I just thought about something else, Daniel. I'm not being negative here, but at this point in time, I suppose, not the issue we had before with the advisor group was they tried to make it on a sale day, and back with we're having fat sales obviously then too, of course, and may change with the new contractors, but the AAM representatives at the time were travelling out here, so we were making them on a sale day then, but that might all change now. I'm not up with it, but they were out here for the sale day, so they were being invited.
Yeah, so I'll be having separate weekly meetings with the contractors and internal staff as well. So that'll be more of an operational meeting, but things that necessarily are discussed there won't be appropriate for this stakeholder meeting.
Agents at that time, when they were venting their issues, they like to have that. And I'm not saying you won't have your separate meetings with them, but they like to vent their frustration.
Yes, the contractor will certainly be invited to the stakeholder meeting.
Yeah.
And depending on where we go with the contracts, it's structured that there'll be a 24-hour representation there, so that they will be on site at least.
Or they could Zoom the meeting.
Yeah, we can always Teams in, so yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor,
yeah, I'm happy to change it to like Councillor Guthrie said, because one of the things that used to come up in the monthly meetings was the feedback on how it was performing, and sometimes people didn't actually give it to you in writing, but they might say it at a meeting. And I think, what did you say, Councillor Guthrie?
Just as on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm happy to change it. Yeah, on a regular basis.
Determined by the
Determined by
Saleyards
the-
General Manager.
Determined by the.
What the Councillor Guthrie was saying regular, and I'm sure Councillor Guthrie, you can speak for yourself, but the premise was that the meeting then determines how
The
often
committee
they
would
meet.
determine how regularly they would like to, guided by the chair, of course.
Yep.
But it would be good to get, if you've got people wanting to participate and they are able to indicate how regularly they are able to, maybe it's to be negotiated based on those who want to attend.
Mr. Mayor, you can't see the screen, obviously.
No.
So in the .3, do you want to put commence these meetings on a regular basis
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
From the
to be
Determined
by the general manager of the Saleyards?
Look through.
How would you work that?
Anyway,
Something along that line. The discretion, not the discretion.
determined by the committee. So when the very first meeting, they'll put it to the committee, and the committee will decide how regular they want their meetings.
But I just think, like the Saleyards fellas and that, they need to know a date. First,
Well, they'll get plenty of.
So the committee will set that at the first meeting.
Yeah, but you've got to, ring everyone around. If they all know, say, the first Monday of every second month or third month.
But they have their own meetings, see?
Okay.
So Daniel will be.
Yeah, so that the agents meet as an association separately. So this would be a stakeholder for all stakeholders at the Saleyards, not just the agents.
No.
I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think we're.
Righto. So that point 3, we'll just have it as same as on the screen.
Can you see it, Mr. Mayor?
No, but you said it, so I'm happy
Well-
with that. And are you happy as the seconder?
Yes.
Righto. I'll speak to this. Yeah, so I think this is very important. The idea is of a regular catch-up is sometimes people don't tell you in person and they don't go through the channels, but they might come along and notice a lot of small things that can make small differences that add up to a big difference. I think this is good. In the past, we did do it with councillors chairing it. I think it's better for the general manager because they have the operational delegations to do things at the Saleyards, so whereas councillors don't. So I think obviously out of these, that feedback can be brought to council if it's strategic. But, the operational benefits of having this and getting everyone in the room, I think is very, very positive. Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Or for the motion?
Mr Mayor, I just think it's a great move. We've been asked by the some of the stakeholders in the past 6 or 8 months when we're going to start having meetings, so I think it's a great move in the right direction.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, thanks.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I agree. I think this is a great step forward. I think that this is very, very similar to the advisory group meetings that were being held previously. And early on this term of council decided to stop them. I think there has been a gap in communication there, and I think there's been a period where the stakeholders they actually enjoyed having those meetings and that opportunity to talk to council. And so I think this is a great step forward in rectifying that previous decision and admittedly enough, putting in that the general manager is chairing the meeting.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone here, Mr Mayor?
Yes. I'm in favour as well. Okay, so that's 8-0.
Righto.
10.1 annual
Thank you.
show.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
I've got a conflict.
Annual show public holidays 2024. Do we have any conflicts?
Yeah, I think I do, Mr Mayor. I'm sorry, Cal.
And any other conflicts, councillors?
No.
Isn't your wife the president of the Show Society?
Yeah, but I don't think I should do a conflict.
Okay.
CEO, is this actually just making the date?
Look,
Or
through
is
the chair, it is gazetting a public holiday. I guess the matter at hand is there a pecuniary benefit to the show committee in relation to that? To be how you determine that.
And I've determined that Mitchell Show, by having a public holiday, is actually a benefit to the show, to be able to have a public holiday. I would
So
think the
you might
Roma Show would be the same.
It's something you might want to consider. Just simply because, I guess the potential is there for increased attendance because it is a public holiday. It's up to you.
Err on the side of caution.
Let's ask to stay in the room.
It's no 2-second thing. It'll be.
That's right.
Yep.
Are you ready for me, Cal? So I'd like to declare a interest, item 10.1.
Not the secretary for him, though. Yeah,
What's that for?
it mentions the Show Society and Stephanie, so.
Yep.
Item 10.1 is description of annual show public holidays 2024, declaring councillor as Councillor Joanne Hancock. The person with interest is Stephen Hancock, my brother-in-law. And particulars of interest is Stephen Hancock is the Vice President of the Mitchell Show Society. I have a declarable conflict of interest. I think. And my action is I'm going to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Righto. Any other conflicts?
Probably me, Mayor Golder. That's
Righto. Please go ahead.
Where are we? The item number is 10.1, description annual show public holidays 24, declaring councillor as Councillor Ladbrook. The person with the interest to the related party is my wife Alana Ladbrook. She is the president of the Roma show, and particulars of interest. Oh yeah, that's him. And the type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, so if you can let me know when both councillors have left the room.
Don't go too far.
They've left the room.
They left the room, yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Righto,
they've left the room,
thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
Okay, so do we have a mover on this item?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
I'm happy to move that the Chief Executive Officer make application for ministerial approval for the following special holidays. Friday the 10th of May 2024 for the 2024 Roma annual show holiday, and Tuesday the 14th of May 2024 for the 2024 Mitchell annual show holiday.
Okay, do we
I'll
have a
second it.
seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
6-0.
Yes.
Okay, mate.
Yep. 6-0.
All good.
Yeah, I know.
If you can let me know when everyone's back in the
All
room.
good?
We're all back.
Okay, thank you. 10.2, Council Media Policy. I'd
Mr.
like
Mayor,
to move...
excuse me, Mr. Mayor, can I move that this lays on the table till all councillors are back?
Yeah, you can move that. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
we've done it before for Councillor Edwards when he's been away, and so I'm just moving the same.
Media policy. Yeah.
So, all
It's a
those
policy
against?
change.
12:36.
Okay, we'll do that vote again. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. So how many's in favour of that? Councillor McMullen?
Count.
All those against?
Yes.
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 So that's 5.
So that's 4 all, is it?
No, is it 4-5?
Yeah,
Before
can't be.
5. Before
We've got
all.
4. It's yeah.
It must have been a delay there.
You're right. It's 4-4, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I'll vote in the negative. So that's lost. I'd like to move that
Casting vote.
the casting vote. Yeah, I'll vote in the negative with laying it on the table. Okay, I'd like to move the council endorse the updated draft council media policy as presented. 2, rescind all previous council media policies if relevant. 3, update council's website accordingly. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll go, Mayor Golder, Councillor Ladbrook.
Righto. Councillor Ladbrook.
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
In the policy itself on page 78, it says formalise the roles of council officials. Who's the officials?
CEO.
Through the chair, the way the policy's presenting this is the media policy has been established to formalise the role of the council officials, the mayor and the deputy mayor, and I am just flagging that you have already made a resolution of that at the beginning of the term, but the policy setting reflects that too. So it's consistent with your resolution that you've made
But
too.
my question is, who was the council officials?
The mayor and the deputy mayor,
The mayor and the deputy mayor?
yes.
So this
What page is that one on, Councillor Taylor? 78.
So we're formalising the fact that the mayor and the deputy mayor are the only ones speaking on behalf
Already
of
done that
council?
at the beginning of the term in a resolution.
That's right, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah.
It's already in a,
It says this policy applies to council officials, so this policy only applies to the mayor and deputy mayor?
No, look, through the chair, just for completeness, on page 80 and 81, is your public officials are the mayor and the deputy mayor when speaking for council, right? And clearly stating that the deputy mayor speaks for the mayor if the mayor can't speak. The CEO is the organisational official and would speak about organisational matters, i.e. gas leak, road repair, road closure.
Yep, okay. So
Question.
please go ahead.
So that is different to what we moved. That would have to be a change in this policy because in our previous policy and according with the resolution that was provided to us last night, yes, the mayor and deputy mayor are the only ones to speak, but it didn't actually say that the chief executive officer or local area directors or general managers actually could speak on behalf of council. You can communicate, but you actually can't. So last night we got a email.
I just
with the
circulated
resolution?
the resolution you'd made at the beginning of the term, just for completeness. Yep. So look, just through the chair, the reason for that the media policy's been presented is I understand the resolution, understand the question or the statement you're making. The reality is that whilst this policy expands that the CEO and relevant staff can talk about operational matters, not the official spokesperson for council per se, but it does allow the CEO and delegated officers to speak to the media about relevant issues, i.e. operational issues such as public notices, which are around road closures, gas leaks, those things. The mayor and the deputy mayor are still the public officials and key spokesperson for council.
So my follow-on question to that is, my concern is that the lines might be greyed there because once we put a budget to it and a resolution to it, it becomes operational. So therefore, any resolutions that happen on council, we're actually in this policy giving permission for staff members to speak on that, which goes directly against the resolution saying that the mayor and the deputy mayor should be speaking on it.
Could, just through the chair, could you just give me maybe an example of where you think that would be a concern?
Well, in my previous, my concern is that when I was a staff member, there was a very determined line in the sand. No staff spoke to media. That's the councillors' jobs because they're the ones who are sitting at the table making those decisions. And that's a twofold. That was to actually protect the staff so that they weren't having to justify council's decisions. We're talking about in the media. They've got to go and operate it, but they don't have to actually justify it in the media. That's actually the councillors' jobs to do that. The mayor, and in this instance, in this term of council, it's the mayor and deputy mayor. So I just think that was a really good protection for the officers. My concern is that the intent might be just about water pipes, but as time goes by, that might be taken out of context if we don't actually make it very clear. And from what I see, the moment we make a decision in this chambers, it becomes operational to therefore, that would give the authority for this staff to comment on it, which has been done with the councillor cars. So, you know, that's an example. That was a decision that was made in this chamber, and then yourself has been quoted in the newspaper regarding the councillor cars. And so I'm just concerned about the grey area that it may appear.
That might be a bit blurred, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Just, hey, Mr Mayor,
Yes.
I think we're getting on the wrong track here. The staff are putting out media releases all the time.
Not speaking on behalf of council, not being quoted on behalf of council, deputy mayor. That's you and the mayor's job to do that.
look, just through the chair, just in answer to the question, is I can understand the councillor's concern. Look, for many, many councils around Australia, they have a policy where the mayor and the deputy mayor will speak on behalf of the council, and the CEO will speak on behalf of the organisation for probably a more practical intent. That often, in the event that there is something of a technical nature, the most relevant person speaks to the media, admittedly with all the safeguards that you need in relation to that, but that often the amount of time it would take to relay to a councillor, mayor, deputy mayor around a technical issue actually is quite lengthy and not necessarily leading to good press. And so essentially the media policy is presented and it's up to council to either accept it or not accept it or bring it back to another briefing, is really to have a more practical approach to some of those conversations with the media, is recognising we still have to meet our code of conduct, be ethical, make sure that we're not, even if they are operational issues and they are of a contentious nature, that we have good discussion between the public official and the CEO should comments be made, because again, there's no intention to, say something that would be detrimental from a reputational perspective about the council. It's really allowing the organisation to talk about more practical matters. And to give you probably an example from my side is, just recently we're wanting to increase our media coverage in relation to some of our facilities, i.e. the Saleyards. So Landline coming to visit and doing interviews. Our policies and the resolutions as they currently stand do not allow that general manager to have that conversation, because it is media, even though it's very practical that they do. And so it's essentially that was a situation we're going, it's our settings that actually stop us from being able to do some of those things. So for argument's sake, if you've got someone representing the big rig who was, from a tourism perspective, is they shouldn't be speaking to media. But sometimes it's practical that they do, but where there are contentious issues, I think it's well recognised that we do need to make sure we're all protecting the reputation of council at all times. So it's essentially putting this up in response to what we see on a day-to-day basis as more practical matters around those technical aspects. But again, it's up to council as to whether...
Okay,
Just,
well, I
Mr.
think we
Mayor.
need to get, we need to get on with the debate.
Apologies, yes.
I'm going to speak to the motion, and then we'll give every councillor an opportunity to speak.
Sorry.
I think this is very good for the ratepayers of the region. It's very clear the mayor and the deputy mayor are the ones that speak on behalf of council, but there's a lot of operational issues that we almost had this big line that no one was allowed to say anything. But the operational part of council, the staff and the senior leadership should be given that information. It will make it quicker to get it out. There's safeguards in the policy. I think it's a very good policy. And, as it was said, the general managers say it's a classic. I mean, it's a very strange situation. Your general manager say, can't speak to the media. Like, of course, there's operational issues. If it's strategic, then the mayor or the deputy mayor will. So I'm fully supportive of this, and I believe this needs to be implemented, if council support it, as soon as possible. Does someone wish to speak against the policy?
Yes, I do.
Please go ahead.
Number one, I actually think we need to be rescinding the previous motion, because I think we're going to be going against a motion standing on the books. and where it says that the mayor will be the spokesperson for Maranoa Regional Council in all media releases where a quote or quotes are required, or at his sole discretion, he may nominate the deputy mayor to be the spokesperson. We are actually, if this goes through today, we are going against a council resolution that is on the books. I don't think that's best practice. And I just simply can't support a policy that's actually going to go ahead where I think that there is grey areas, and I think that there is, by doing this, we could be putting our staff on the front line to justify decisions of council that they might not even agree with, and that they didn't make, and the consequences of those policies, both good or bad. I actually don't think it's right that you've got 9 elected members sitting around the table. Council's decided to let the mayor and deputy mayor be the spokesperson for council, but the rest of us councillors don't get to be a spokesperson for council. We're actually shut up. We're not allowed to, but yet we're going to let our council officers to go on the front line and be the spokesperson on our behalf on the decisions that we make. And once we make them, they're operational. And so therefore, with this policy, that will give our council officers the right to speak on any of this operational, our operational processes in council. I think that's a real risk for council. I think it's a risk that that it won't look professional. And so, I would caution council about this policy. I think we need to look at it more and have more time to actually nut out and actually have those safeguards in there that the mayor talks about, because at the moment I actually can't see the safeguards that are actually written in the policy in black and white.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the policy?
I'm happy to speak, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I've looked at this council media policy very, very thoroughly, and I'm happy that it spells out, or it really does give great clarity, because I note that we've got the mayor and the deputy mayor who are given the opportunity to be official spokespeople or spokespersons on behalf of the elected members, and we've got the CEO who then speaks on policy, operational and administrative issues. It's very clearly spelt out here that if anybody who is a director or lower down in the council operations, they can only speak if they have information that's been pre-approved by the CEO. The same goes for the elected members. So we've got that included in the wording. And then we've also got off-the-record statements. Council employees will not give off-the-record comments regardless of the situation. It's very clearly also spelt out about code of conduct requirements. To me, when you read through it, I think it really does cover everything that could be considered a concern. There's actually wording there to clarify all of the parts. So I'm very comfortable that this is a well-written document.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion?
Yes, I'd like to speak against the motion.
Please go ahead.
And I haven't got much to say because I think Councillor Hancock said most of what I'd like to say. But on one of these 3.2 here, it says official spokesperson and delegation. It says the mayor and the chief executive officer are the official spokespersons of on council affairs. So that's very broad, and I'm the same. Like, I don't see how 7 of us don't get to speak at all, but then we're opening it up to the floor for anybody else, and it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't feel comfortable voting for it.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd speak for it. I haven't had any dramas at all in the last 3 years. I think it's worked well. I suppose you got the opportunity to speak in your own personal opinion if you need be, but the thing that concerned me, and I voiced this early in the first couple of years, social media with employees was running rampant and wasn't getting reined in, and that was more damaging and more of a scary thing than maybe speaking about operational matters to the media. So to me, that's been rectified since, but that was probably the only concern I had. I don't have any dramas with the current policy.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
I've got a question.
Please go ahead.
On page 80 of the agenda pack, and tell me if this has already been raised while I wasn't online. But 3.10, should there be a gap between 3.10 and the table below?
Yeah, look through your, yeah, see what you mean.
Because that, I mean, if you read it in the general sense, that table relates to 3.10, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
But it
sure
relates
does.
to the whole
Yeah, I
policy.
see. Just the formatting, yeah. I mean, we could certainly insert just another line, roles and responsibilities, if you liked, Councillor.
And also on page 78, what's the definition of a council official?
Yeah, that question was asked. So, look, the council officials are the mayor and the deputy mayor, and for the council, and for the organisation, it's the CEO.
And is it delegated down to a local director, CEO, or a director?
I think for the purpose of the policy is that the officials are the official position and recognised as the official positions, and they sit in regulation, really. Once something has been delegated to the CEO, unless it specifically says it can't be delegated further, it's up to the CEO to then delegate that. But I think of importance is that, especially when you're talking about media, comments to the media and its ability to reflect on the council, what a good policy will reflect exactly who those roles, what those roles are and who they are, simply for completeness.
Okay.
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Just to the CEO, 3.2, where it says the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer are the official spokesperson on council affairs and approved media activities and may delegate responsibility to other councillors or members of staff. That is in direct... I think we need to be rescinding the previous motion, because the previous motion doesn't say that the CEO is a spokesperson. It says the Mayor and the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor are. So to be able to accept this media policy, we have to rescind the previous motion. Isn't that a change to the motion?
Through the chair, it's not a change to the motion per se, but it is a policy that incorporates the motion. It's up to the chamber as to whether you think you need to repeal or amend the motion. It's your motion.
But, yeah.
Number 2 that says rescind all previous, that doesn't count.
That's policies.
No, they're
not
just
motions.
policies, yeah. So, because my understanding is you've had policies in the past.
The mayor, and if it's delegated to the deputy mayor, is the same. So it's either the mayor, or if we say in other parts of the policy that you delegate it to the deputy mayor, so that would be the mayor or the deputy mayor or the CEO. So, Anyway, let's keep going on the debate. Councillor O'Neill, do you wish to speak against the motion?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So my opposition to this still sits with the same argument from when we debated this 3 years ago. One of the largest responsibilities an elected representative undertake outside of making decisions, of course, in meetings like this, is speaking on behalf of those decisions for council, for the people that put us in these roles. It had worked exceptionally well for the 8 years prior to this policy change being enacted this term. It gave councillors the opportunity to, play a civic leadership role in voicing, the position of council externally to the media, etc. And I think that's really important for all councillors to have the opportunity to do that. And this policy here embeds it even further, that councillors can't do that without the sign-off of the mayor. And further to that, and absolutely, no disrespect at all to the council staff, and I don't have a problem with the CEO speaking on matters pertaining to the organisation from an operating perspective, but it will. This policy will elevate council staff over elected representatives and their ability to be able to freely speak and be the spokesperson for council. And on that basis, I just cannot support this media policy.
Okay.
Can I just talk?
Someone wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, he's got a couple of questions.
I've got a couple of
Councillor,
questions.
Okay, please go ahead.
So, in the previous, when we first started, when we had another CEO, I can't recall where councillors could speak openly about council's issues anywhere. So you tell me where anyone were or did, because you'd get reported. Simple as that. If you spoke about council. So I can't see where the previous council did all that, and it was open and correspondent, because it just didn't happen.
It did happen, Councillor Abril.
No.
It did. Councillors had
someone opened their
portfolios and
mouth,
they were just.
as soon as someone opened their mouth, they were put in.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Please go ahead.
Just want to clarify, in the last term, in speaking to resolutions in council, councillors weren't allowed to speak for and against motions, was that correct?
No. We had a different system.
Standing orders were different.
Yeah, that's the word.
Well, just get to the... So did they speak for and against like we are now?
But if you've got a
No,
break in the
well,
chain,
in the
it's
early, I can answer this. In the early part of the last term, if the mover did not wish to speak to the motion, no one was allowed to speak.
That's correct.
So,
And then that was changed later in the term, from my memory. But that's yeah.
Well, to me,
That's
I'm
Mr. Mayor,
speaking.
that's different.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, but we're talking about
Okay,
media
well,
policy.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Can we just
I
keep going with the debate?
Yeah, I just think that's more hindering
Mis-
in council business than speaking to the media, as is it getting hamstrung.
So,
Okay, so you're speaking for the motion, are you, Councillor
I
Burkett?
already have. I just asked
Righto.
that question.
Mr. Mayor, I
Councillor
don't know who's
McMullen.
next, but I'll speak for the motion.
Please
Mr.
go
Mayor,
ahead.
I'm happy for the motion. I'd just like to correct the resolution that was put in place back in the OM 092020-07 clearly states to remove any doubt, this does not preclude individual councillors from making comment to the media about matters pertaining to Maranoa Regional Council. So that's in the resolution, so, yeah.
We can't speak.
Okay,
Yep.
righto. Does anyone else wish to speak?
That's it. That's everyone, I think.
Righto. Well, I'll sum up. I think this is actually just, if you had a business approach, and I do take offence to saying it wouldn't be as professional or something like that if the staff are doing it. I think our staff are very professional. I believe they can pass on comments to the media. It's not changing quotes from the mayor or the deputy mayor. None of that's changing. But it's ridiculous to have a general manager of the Saleyards that council have put in place and they're not allowed to speak to the media. There's common sense issues that the CEO can quickly get on the front foot and tell the community. I think that's very positive, and I've always thought it's very strange where councillors have locked up all of that comment in a way that, our senior staff cannot make those comments. So I'm very supportive of this motion, and I think it will go to a more efficient running of council. Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. All those against?
Against.
Councillor Hancock, I couldn't hear you. Might have dropped off.
No, I said against.
Okay, thank you. 6-3. Okay, we'll move on.
So, 10.3 is page 86.
Okay. 86. Okay. 10.3, annual review of appointment to the position of Deputy Mayor. I'd like to move that no change in the position of the Deputy Mayor. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'm happy to
I do.
second.
No,
Okay.
you're third.
No, okay.
No, Councillor Guthrie can. She beat me.
Yeah, Councillor Guthrie. Does anyone wish to speak to this?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I'm not going to support this. Like I've said for 3 years, this will be my 4th year. I'm not going to support this because when I voted for Councillor McMullen to be Deputy Mayor right back in the first term of this term of council, I believe that he was Deputy Mayor along with legislation for the 4 years, and I just don't agree with this being seen as a performance approval every year, so I'm voting against it. But I have full faith in Councillor McMullen as a Deputy Mayor of this council.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
Yes, I do.
Please go ahead.
I too will be voting against this, not because the Deputy Mayor doesn't have my full support. He does. He has in the last, up until today. The thing I don't support is this coming to the table, so I won't be supporting it.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion or
I
against
will.
the motion?
You go.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a good idea, really. It doesn't take long. And if, the Deputy Mayor needs to be changed, it gives you the opportunity to do that. So it's pretty simple and a quick fix.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
I'll speak against.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, similarly to Councillor Hancock and Councillor Taylor, my speaking against and ultimately voting against this is no reflection on the Deputy Mayor. Jeff McMullen was appointed for the position of Deputy Mayor at the first meeting after the council elections in 2020, and that was for, in my mind, the term of 4 years. This isn't good practice for this to be coming back annually. It does look like it's a performance review on the Deputy Mayor, which the rest of us don't have to endure until we get to an election. And on that basis, I won't be supporting it because, the legislation is very clear. There are mechanisms at any time to make a change if required, whether that's triggered by a majority of councillors or by the Deputy Mayor himself. But on this basis, I won't be supporting it, but it's not a reflection of my view of the role that Jeff McMullen has played as Deputy Mayor.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, I can understand people's concerns, but I'm a bit like Councillor Ladbrook. If you've got a situation where things aren't working out mid-year, this does give you that opportunity. I've got full faith and always have with Deputy Mayor Jeff McMullen, so fully endorse his next year or the last part of this term.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak against or for?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just very briefly say maybe this as a procedural action that's happening every 12 months gives us all an opportunity to show our support to the work and the role that our Deputy Mayor does, and the fact that we hold him in high regard. Maybe it's a testament to his efforts and also to our faith in him holding the role.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. Very supportive of the Deputy Mayor, and I think this is, storm in a teacup. I think it's just very upfront in every way that we have a mechanism and if that mechanism's not needed, well, obviously we've still got the mechanism in the local government, but this is a way that's just very upfront, and there's nothing to see here. Councillor McMillan's doing a good job. So on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Julie,
All those against?
we should,
Against.
Against.
Jeannie should get a medal too.
6-3.
Okay, 6-3.
They're a bit of a
One
phone
call for a division.
Poor Jeannie.
Okay, moving on.
Page 91.
91, monthly financial reports as of the 31st of May 2023. Do we have a mover?
I'll
I'd like
it,
to move. Yeah, please go ahead, Councillor Ladbrook.
Ladbrook, yep. I'd like to move that council receive and note the monthly financial report in the period ending 31st of May 2023. Report 4, did I say 4? No. Report 4, the period ending the 31st of May 2023. Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Just to thank the staff for the good work.
Yeah. Do they have got any comments? We've got the staff here, Tyson.
Yeah, no.
Just through the chair, I'd just highlight is certainly this is a monthly financial report as at the 31st of May 23, and as you know, we have received further advice overnight in relation to our financial assistance grants. Should anyone be concerned about the figure, and Council's forecast will be a surplus as at 30th of June 23, and that information will be fully reflected in your financial statements when they're audited.
So
Okay.
just a question. So that money goes into this financial year?
That's right.
The letter actually stated we will receive those funds today, the 28th.
So that's normal with a business. If it gets money from wherever, it just goes in that time. It doesn't.
Yeah,
However, there's a difference between, for revenue recognition, please correct me if I'm wrong here.
No,
So there are certain...
Sorry, under the accounting standard AASB 1058, it's recognised as general revenue, so it's included as revenue in the year that it's received.
So it's received this financial year, so it's in this.
Yes.
So we've ended up with
surplus.
a surplus.
Yeah.
So there's no big deal at all.
But in answer to your question, Councillor, sometimes money, when it is received early, is actually a liability, and we do reflect that in the accounts too.
Yes. Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
yeah.
instance of the financial assistance
You've got to be a
grant,
bit careful.
It's actually different.
Yeah.
It's seen as cash.
Yeah.
Excuse me, through the chair, it comes under the definition that it's general revenue.
General revenue,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I have
Righto.
a
Does
question.
any? Yeah, please go ahead.
Just following on from that, that thought, so we were told that the FAG grants come in, we weren't told how much. How much?
Through the chair, 16.9 million.
Okay, so according to these financials, we're in deficit of 10.6 million now. That's at the end of May. That 16 is going to come in, which is actually money for us to spend on FAG's stuff for next financial year. Yep. So in fact, we are using our money that was given to us to expend next financial year to rectify the deficit of 10.6 million at 30th of May. We're going to rectify that with the money that was given to us to spend next year.
No, in answer, for completeness, the money is for next year, and our budget reflects the expenditure for that money. The end of year financial result is the end of year financial result, and it is the sum of those some of the cash flows received in 22-23. So yes, our position will definitely from an end of financial year be improved, but the budget still remains the same as the budget, so the money is still there. The thing that's really important to realise in relation to your financial accounts and where we're sitting is that in this financial year, we've been making some decisions about areas of the business that should have been accounted for really in previous years, and those two areas are rehabilitation of landfill, and there are also provisions for doubtful debt. That is what your accounts are showing you. Essentially, that is moving money from one area of your profit and loss from your business onto your balance sheet to start providing for money that you will spend in the future. In relation to the provisions for doubtful debt, it's just that we have arrears that have not been paid back, monies owing to the council that haven't been paid back for 3 to 4 years. So from an accounting sense, we need to make a decision about that, about whether there's any doubt that we will be paid. So we make those decisions in relation to that. Should we get paid, and we are currently in negotiation, is that we can actually put those reversals in place too. But essentially, prior to this payment coming in, is that deficit's actually good housekeeping. It's actually making provisions making provisions for the environmental obligation that you've got in the long term in relation to your landfills, etc., and also making provisions for the fact that there may indeed be revenue that we have to forego because we've been in arrears so long. So essentially, whilst we were in deficit until we received this money, it is good financial management in accounting for those things.
Okay, we'll keep going with the debate. Does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion?
Mr Mayor, I speak for the motion. Actually, more of a question. I'm just reading in the report here that the flood money, Event 13 flood money that council have received in advance payments for Event 13 flood damage have been received by council. However, as per accounting standards, this revenue is not recognised until works have been completed. So does that tell me that flood money's not in there yet?
That's correct.
If we had that 3 million...
That's correct. They're currently contained in the
It's
liabilities.
in the bank, but it's in the bank, but it's not in the document.
It's contained as a liability.
Yeah, that's right. So that's...
I suppose a good way to try and describe it is we've received it as cash, but we haven't recognised it as a revenue item to our profit and loss statement, if that sort of helps. Yes.
That's right.
And
if we don't
it's
spend
about...
it, we have to give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about the relationship between our contractual arrangements in that particular legal document as to how closely aligned the monies are to what our obligations are sitting in there. So it's around the performance of that particular contract. The issue we've got with FAGs is there's no real obligations there. We don't have to hand the money back if we don't spend it, but they just give it to us. Yep. And the nexus, which is really the connection between the contract and the performance of that contract, there's nothing there. And this is recognised as this is how all local governments have been dealing with the FAGs, and that's why it's such an ambiguous type of a discussion to have across all the local governments, because some contracts have very tight obligations, some, like the FAGs, just don't have anything. So therefore, you basically have to treat it as it is like a grant, but you can't treat it as anything else. So you have to treat it as revenue when you receive it, whereas others, you receive the cash, but you recognise it when you perform that obligation, which might be next year.
Yeah.
Mr Mayor,
Okay, that's...
Through you, Mr Mayor. In the past, historically, have we received more government funding than we have in the last 18 months?
We'd have to take that question on notice, but we certainly have had governments be incredibly generous. There's no doubt about that.
And previously?
I think the pandemic was a stimulus for government funding to keep economies alive. So we've seen some...
And now we don't have that?
I think the outlook for all of government funding is constrained going forward.
So that's another reason, along with bad debtors. Yeah.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against or for the motion?
Can I just ask a really quick question?
Yeah, please go
On
ahead.
the financial assistance grant money that you say has gone into general revenue as of today, if we get it.
Yes.
Have we actually got any projects for that, or is that is that something we've yet to decide?
Through the chair, how we treat, there's two parts of the grant. There's what we call a general all-purpose.
It says general purpose and
Yeah,
local
general
roads.
purpose. The general purpose grant is actually for the running of the business. So it's not for buying things or building things, it's for running of the business. And traditionally, that's how we've used that money. It's essentially supporting the delivery model of council in general.
Yeah.
There is a portion that goes to roads, and that money
Yeah,
goes to
and
roads as well.
They name that portion as well.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no one else wishes to speak?
Just have a question, Mayor Golder.
Please go ahead.
In those, does that rates in arrears or that's owing, is that in those figures as well, or not? Because you haven't got the money, it is, or it is in that?
Excuse me, Councillor Brooke, can you clarify, you're talking about the income that's been received, or are you talking about the which
Rate
portion?
arrears, I think he's referring to.
Again,
That's owing.
yeah.
Owing.
Yeah, so the rate arrears, it would include any rate arrears that are currently outstanding.
That is in there.
Yes.
Okay, now, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak on this. I'm supporting this motion, and I think it's disappointing that some councillors are whipping up the feedback that council is not in a good financial position. I believe councillors are all aware of actually why we're using best practice and putting some rates, arrears, and treating them differently, which affects our position, and also long-term cost of landfills, which have not been dealt with before at council, and actually putting those in there, which has taken a loss on those figures that we've got, but it is actually the best financial management in the future. So I think it's disappointing that portraying a situation that it's somehow bad financial management, it's actually good financial management to actually put it up front. Everyone knows. Hopefully we get the rates money in. If we don't, we'll move on to doing something else. I would hope that we do. But those landfill issues are not going to go away, and it's this council that's actually been dealing with them, with the change in waste. It's a big change that's happening at a state and federal level. We need to get ready. So certainly I won't shy away from making the hard decisions and have honest figures. But if you take those figures out, all of the stuff that people whip up is just not even there, and it's actually good financial management. Okay, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Righto, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 You, Mr
All
Mayor,
those-
anyone?
All those against? Well, I'm in favour.
That's 9-0, Mr Mayor.
Righto, thank you. Okay,
Did Councillor Edwards?
we'll break for lunch and back in an hour. Is that one
It
on?
is page
108.
108.
We're going to change the order of business.
No, it's an extra.
Strategic
Oh, next one.
enterprise risk.
Okay, righto, 108. 11.2, Strategic Enterprise Risk Register.
No, it's
Do we have a mover?
Is that? Mr Mayor, I'll move.
Please go
Council
ahead.
endorse the Strategic Enterprise Risk Register as presented.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, is it 11.8, Manager D? Is that the one?
Sorry, we're just completing the vote. We just haven't heard from the people online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please. Councillor O'Neill, are you in favour?
He may have jumped off.
Might have gone for
I,
lunch.
Oh, he is there. Good.
So you're in favour of Councillor O'Neill, and I am?
I'm still here.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you
Yes,
in
that's fine.
favour of that motion?
We're just having
Councillor
some.
O'Neill,
We're just having some sound problems, Councillor O'Neill. We can't hear you.
Put your hand
Can
up.
you hear me, Tyson?
Now we can.
now I can, but not before. Yeah, are you in favour of that motion?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 9-0.
Thank you.
Yep. Righto.
You're right.
So, right. So that's the one you wanted to do. One more.
No, but
Righto.
anyway, but
So,
it's all good.
We'll be back in an hour. Righto.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm back.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, thank
Councillor
you.
Edwards. We're just at item 11.3 on page 113.
Thank you.
So, yeah, option 2 has the still one in each of the regions, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Option 1 and 2 have meetings in the regions. The only difference for Schedule 2 is it allows for a change in the July meeting for the bush councils, and also in September, I think it is, for the for attendance at the Alliance. October, sorry. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm happy to go with meeting schedule 2. So I'd like to move the council approved meeting schedule 2, and 2, consider the outcomes of the trial on briefings. To consider the outcome of the trial of briefings currently held on Tuesday immediately prior to Wednesday. Ordinary meeting at an upcoming briefing prior to the end of November 2023. CEO, what's that one about?
Just through the chair, if you recall, when you did adopt your briefings and you adjusted schedule in relation to your briefings, this is just really a point in the schedule to say how they're travelling. Are you happy with them? Continue on in the same vein or review them at a briefing before November?
Right. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Do we have a seconder?
Happy to second that.
Any opposition? Does the I'd certainly happy to be flexible where we can, as long as we go out and meet in the community. Had a lot of community feedback about they appreciate the meetings, even if they don't have something to bring up, and it's getting people closer to the community. Their council. So certainly supporting this. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just also got feedback, and not only from the people that attended the actual meetings, but we saw some at the lunchtime. Even actually, one gentleman wasn't. He was just in the venue having lunch, and he thought it was a great thing that even just your presence in the community was a big thing for them. So so I think it's ticked a lot of boxes. Oh, and also the flexibility around the conferences is a must too.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
I'm not supporting this because the feedback that I've had is that rather than having our meetings out in the different regions, I'd rather see council out doing town hall meetings where they can actually have the time to speak to the councillors rather than just observing the meeting. I am glad the council is considering to be flexible in moving these dates. I think that's a step forward. We haven't been flexible previously in this term of council to move the dates. So I'm very excited to think that the council will be flexible to move these dates to allow the mayor, deputy mayor, and the CEO to attend the Western Queensland Alliance of Councils Assembly.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. All those against?
Yes.
Eight one, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, please say that
8-1.
again.
8-1.
Okay, thank you. 8-1 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to 11.4, 2023 LGAQ Business Bush Councils Convention. Do we have a mover?
Yes. Have a bit of a discussion on who would like to go, so we can put the names in.
Oh, they're in there.
Okay, does anybody have the desire to go to the Bush Councils?
And Edward, Councillor Edwards,
Councillor
but
Edwards has pulled out.
I'm happy. Oh, has he?
Well, is
Oh.
that council?
Because I'm happy not to go with those
Yeah,
dates
yeah.
now. Something's come up.
Yeah, I've withdrawn from that because of circumstances. So yeah.
So what do you say you can't go to the dates?
Yeah, I'm just a bit concerned about those dates, so I won't be able to go to the Bush Councils. Not for that whole time.
So, well, why don't we just make it that if councillors want to go, that they can?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because things might change.
Yeah, Mr Mayor,
Right.
I'm happy to go unless someone else wants the positions, but
I think
we have to nominate.
accommodation-wise, we'd have to know, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
We'd have to let them know if we
Through
don't
the
need.
chair, I think there was a discussion at the briefing is that one of the problems with Goondiwindi, it's got very limited accommodations.
We've already
There's
got
about
3 rooms booked.
three rooms, so there's only 3 rooms booked. But it is close, and it is close enough if councillors wanted to go down for the day and participate, they could. It's just that might influence the resolution just to say endorse the attendance of all councillors, if available, at the 2023 LGAQ Bush Councils Convention.
So
being
the
it's so
accommodation
close.
part's not a drama because that's covered in the second point.
But I'm just thinking that if we don't need accommodation, it's very selfish to have 3 rooms booked and we only have, say, 2 going. I think we should be making a decision and either relinquishing
As
it
far as accommodation.
on behalf of other people who are
Sure.
on a waiting
You
list.
might split, yeah, you might split
Other
that.
council.
I think that we could do that, quickly when we could commit to that, whereas resolution just could commit that councillors can go.
Yep.
And then we can withdraw that resolution. Withdraw the accommodation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be even qualify it so that accommodation be provided for 3 councillors, simply because that's all you have left. And then 2 could become 3. And then
When do you have to nominate the councillors to go to the convention?
I think it's a case of you just have to register.
Register's the word I should have said.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I think we need to name the names today.
I think,
But
yeah.
why don't you make it open to any councillors? Because it could be like
But you've
maybe.
got to register your names.
Yeah, but you could do it, potentially you could be able to do a day trip, but I haven't looked
Yeah,
at
but
it.
wouldn't you be better off just putting your name down? And if you don't
Registering,
attend,
yeah.
You can register to go and if you don't turn up, it's not an issue.
yeah, then
It's
have.
$990 per person to
Yes,
register.
yeah,
Shit.
yes.
So you don't want
You
to
honest-
say yes to 5 and 2 turn up.
Yeah, that's true too.
No, but I mean,
Is it
how do you go
corporate
if
registration?
you're a late one? Can you just, or you're only going for one day? What do you pay there?
$90.
Come out of your own pocket.
Would it be? I
I
thought
would
they might have
think
had,
so.
anyway.
You've got to pay the travel and you're still going to.
Oh, yeah, I didn't read that.
How
bit.
many options with the
Do we?
So why not just do what the mayor suggests and endorse the attendance of available councillors at the 2023 and take this offline and let people work out if they go for the
Yeah.
3 days or 1 day. Or
Yes.
What was that, sorry?
Attendance of
the
available
mayor's
councillors.
suggestion of just endorse the attendance of available councillors and take it offline to work out who can go for 3 days and who might just go for 1.
Yes.
And we can just do that.
So, Councillor O'Neill, are you happy to move that?
When you-
Well, I thought you were moving
I
it,
mean,
Well, okay.
but I
I'm
will
happy
if you. Well, I'll move it if you don't. Like you move it. You came up with it.
No, but yeah,
I'll
you got-
second it, Mayor, if you want.
yeah, no, I'll second it. You've got the wording there, so do that. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
will be good.
Well, I'll move the council endorse the attendance of available councillors at the 2023 LGAQ Bush Councils Convention on the 25th to 27th of July 2023 in Gundawindi. Draw applicable registration, travel costs and accommodation costs from attending council's conference budget allocation.
Okay, I'll second that. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Yes.
Please go ahead, Councillor Hancock.
All to say is, I'm so supportive of this because last year Councillor Taylor and I had the opportunity to go to the Bush Council, and it was just really valuable. It was valuable to connect with other councillors, meet other councillors, and it was really valuable to listen to some of those presentations. So for me, it was really a great opportunity for personal development. So I'm really excited for you, Councillor Burkett, to go and to experience it because I think you'll really, really get a lot out of it.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Is that 9-0?
9-0,
It is
Mr
9-0.
Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Okay, 11.5. Annual Conference Motions 2023. Do we
I'll
have a
move.
mover? Please go ahead.
I'll move the council consider motions for submission of the councillor briefing on the 11th of July 2023 and endorse final motion submissions at an ordinary meeting in July 2023 to meet the submission deadline on the 9th of August 2023.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Righto, we've got a second. Does
Can I
anyone
ask-
wish to?
Can I ask a
Yep.
question?
Please go ahead.
The submission of the briefing on the 11th of July 23, I think that was one that was online. Is that, have I been given them? Are they in here? Sorry.
No, we got
It hasn't happened yet, July 23.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's next.
I've moved straight on. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak
I've
to the
moved to
motion?
July.
No one wants to speak?
No.
Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Everyone. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, 9-0. Okay, we'll move along.
11.6, page 142.
11.6. Councillor attendance at LGAQ Annual Conference voting arrangements. Do we have a mover?
Should we have another discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Please go ahead.
Look, well, Mayor, I'd like to go to the LGAQ conference this year, and I'm happy to be a delegate if council endorses that, but I'm also happy just to be an observer.
I'd actually like to be an observer. I don't think I know enough to be a delegate.
And because I probably can't go the Bush Council one, I would like to be able to attend these ones. So I'd like to put my name down with that as well. But I don't mind if I'm a delegate or a observer. I think it's great professional development.
Does anybody else wish to go?
Can I just say, so 2 delegates, and then it can have X amount
You
of,
have as many observers as you want.
Yeah.
Two people can vote.
yeah.
Kel, there's a quick question on this one. This is in where I can't think.
Gladstone.
Have you got any accommodation booked?
No, the registrations have only just opened.
Okay, so we got no. Yeah. I was just thinking about how many rooms. It's probably more of a.
Easier to get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah, certainly easier. So with the registrations opening up.
Do you want to go, Councillor McMullen?
Oh, I half think it, but I mean, there's people here that haven't been to
Yeah,
the conference at all.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
think I'd feel confident enough to vote. Like, I don't think I'd have the smarts for that.
well, in all due respect, you don't have to be smart because we'll. No, I'm not being. Well,
You can put a mannequin up there if you want that.
I could have said, well, you don't have to make the decision. The decision will be made here.
And you're
How
only
we
just
wanna vote,
representing what
sorry.
we want.
We can send a mannequin up in front of you.
I got that wrong. But what I meant was,
I know what you mean.
because you don't have to
Yeah, I
the
got that.
decision, we'll make decisions on what we want to
Yeah,
vote on.
I'd be happy to observe, yeah.
I can see that. Yep.
Anyone else that hasn't been want to go?
No, I went last year. No, I'm good.
I've been to a couple, but, I mean, it's,
That's too far away for me to plan.
no, I'll throw my hand in the ring if there's only a few going to go.
Can I just ask too, we've got Mayor Golder down, as well as Councillor Edwards. Are those two gentlemen also considering? Because, I mean, there's no reason why everyone can't go.
No, I'm not going to go to the conference. I don't know, Councillor Edwards, whether.
I won't be going.
Is Councillor Edwards going?
Okay.
I'm just
What
listening.
did you
No.
say, Councillor?
No, I probably won't be going.
Okay.
All right, well, then can I suggest that, that Councillor McMullen and O'Neill be the, delegates and Councillor Taylor and I go as observers?
Yeah. If everyone else is happy that,
I'll hold the fort here. It's all
well,
good.
did you want to go?
No.
I'm happy
Well,
with that.
could we, with the bottom one, if we do the same as what we did, like nominate our delegates, but maybe we could leave it open for a little bit longer to be the observer.
Just need to probably start booking accommodation. I know Gladstone's a bit bigger town, but
Yeah, there'd be more people going to this conference than the other one, wouldn't there?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good point, Councillor Hancock. For number 2, nominate available councillors as additional observers, and that might give others a bit of time to look at their diary and whatever.
Yeah.
And then maybe Kel could give us maybe we could have a cut-off deadline that we, as observers, we must, adhere to give time.
Okay, do we have some move something?
So they're for 16th, 17th, 18th. That's for 3 days.
Yes.
I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
I move that council nominate councillors McMullen and O'Neill as its 2 delegates to attend the 2023 LGAQ annual conference in Gladstone on 16th to the 18th of October. 2, nominate available councillors as additional observers to attend the 2023 LGAQ annual conference in Gladstone on 16th to the 18th of October. And 3, draw applicable registration, travel and accommodation costs from attending councillors' conference budget allocation.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second.
Councillor Burkett seconded.
Okay, Councillor.
No, Councillor Taylor did.
Councillor Taylor.
Oh, sorry, I
Lunged
saw you.
forward. Yeah.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
a ventriloquist.
Councillor Taylor seconded that. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, just quickly, once again, I think that it's great that that councillors are attending this. It is great professional development and listening to the speakers at these events and broadening your mind and opening your horizon and bringing that back to our local community, I think is a positive thing.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? No. Then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. So is that 9-0?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 9-0. 11.7, waste and water charge concession. Home.
Yeah, say that big word.
Hemodialysis.
Hemodialysis.
That's very good, Jeffrey.
Councillor, policy.
Thanks, Dr. McMullen.
Do we have a mover?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll move that Council 1 endorse the updated draft council waste and water charges concession, hemodialysis policy as presented, rescind all previous council waste and water charges concession policies relating to hemodialysis. 3, update council's website accordingly.
I'll second that, Mayor Golder.
Can you say what you're seconding, please?
Councillor Ladbrook seconds that. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask how many people that would involve? Do we know? Is there a reason it's coming to the table though? Like,
through
Have we had a
the-
request or?
Well, we had it in before.
Look, it is an existing policy, and you are updating that. But I'd have to take your question on notice in relation to the number of people actually activating that concessions.
Where did the 16 from?
The date of adoption.
No,
Oh.
how many people would be looking for a concession? Yeah. It was just out of curiosity more than anything else.
Righto. Well, maybe the CEO can take it on notice.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Fine.
And, okay, does anyone wish to speak? Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Is that 9-0?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yep, thank you. 9-0. 11.8 Audit Committee Report. I'd like to move that Council receive and note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on 12th of June 2023. We have a seconder. Did someone have a question?
You go first, Councillor.
Yes, I do. I'm just wondering, it's good that we're seeing the minutes, but there's no reports attached, so it's really hard to know, to keep yourself up to speed on some of the decisions. It's not even about the decisions; it's just about to have knowledge about what the reports are. So I'm just wondering if we could be provided the reports attached to some of these, because when we talk about the audit committee, that's about our risk and council, and I guess that's what I was getting to
Through the
yesterday.
chair, it is a closed committee, but the minutes come to you. So we can happily circulate the reports through to councillors, but we wouldn't put them in the public arena.
Yeah, that would be great. It's just sometimes you read the minutes, but you can't really understand it because you don't have the reports attached, and so it would just be handy if we would have that.
Just for my benefit as to what you're meaning about reports, you're actually saying what the full agenda was?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I guess for instance,
So I know what you
Well, one of
require.
mine would be the position paper. I don't, what's the position paper?
Through the chair,
Sorry. Position paper is basically an information to the committee as to what the posture is by management on certain issues around.
Like this one says valuation of road infrastructure impacted by natural disaster events. So
Yes.
is there a report on that?
Yes.
So we could get that? If that's-
Yeah.
That's
Look,
the
I'm
stuff
happy
we
to circulate it. Just forewarning you though, this one was quite. There was, I don't know how many items there were. There was about 15. There was about 400 pages worth of stuff. So just letting you know that that's the case.
and like the position paper on community housing transition.
Yes.
That's obviously housing's of interest to council, and so.
No, just to be clear, what a position paper is in relation to this is when we actually go to audit, when we are making certain assumptions, we also have to have a rationale that's backed up for that. That gets audited. That's that position paper, because essentially when the auditors go to look at something, they'll go, oh, you haven't done this a conventional way, and your position paper will say, no, we're doing it this way and this is the reason why, and for whatever. And with the divestment, just for councillors' benefit, is because the state haven't taken the houses back this year like they said they would, we need to have a position paper, and that just explains that they haven't done that yet.
And the first, we did do a position paper last year on the social housing as well, but that was at the request of the QAO because we had highlighted the fact that we were looking to do a transition and we had to treat it accordingly. And they said, that's fine, but you need to make sure that you provide a position paper to the audit committee to let them know what you're doing.
Yeah, the word position paper, I didn't know what that meant.
So happy to share that, just forewarning you, it's 400 pages, so yes.
Yeah, and What might be useful for councillors is to go through the minutes and highlight what you would like to know specifically, then we can, split up some of those.
Yeah, I'm
reports and
happy
send
to
them
do
you.
that. I do note, I understand your question here saying the audit receive a note that like there's no sort of backing information about what it means. Yeah, I understand what you're getting at. Perhaps we might be able to improve that process. Might give you a bit more information.
Even maybe what would be handy is even, I don't know, how often do you have your audit committee meetings?
For
Quarterly?
a year.
But even, I guess, even every half year, maybe a briefing to council to talk to us about any of the risks or any of the stuff that might be coming up.
Yes. Look, I do. I need to just check the terms of reference, but I've got a funny feeling that I believe the chairperson has to provide a report to.
Sorry. Thought I might have
Actually, on page 171, there's a motion here that says that the audit committee receive and note the 2023 interim report to the mayor and briefing notes is presented by Queensland Audit Office.
Yep.
So there must be a briefing paper.
They provide the draft management report, and then that comes back to you too. Just goes to the mayor.
Yeah, it's just hard to. We're being asked to endorse some stuff that you might not even understand.
Yeah.
So who's the operational manager finance? Is that you, Eric?
No, that's D.
That's
D. Sullivan.
Okay.
Just. I need to. I just need to go through it. I got a funny feeling that they do need to. That the chairperson needs to provide a report through to council.
Usually, invariably, provide an annual report as part of the audit committee agenda, which gets then passed on to council.
Yeah, and let me look into it. I'll come back to you. In the meantime, I'm happy to distribute as best I can. If I want to pay, I might have to split it out. Happy to give that to you to distribute it to council for their viewing and any other questions that might come through, and we can go from there. It was quite a large one last time, but anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy for that meeting agenda to be shared for clarity anyway, and that solved the problem for the that want to read it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, I'll execute that shortly.
I'm happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak to it? I'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Is that 9-0?
That's correct.
12, I reckon.
Thank you.
At least.
Okay, moving on.
174.
What is the next page?
174.
Page 174.
Hang on to there already.
Getting a bit excited.
Oh, that's why I turned over. I've got two conflicts.
I'll have a look.
Have you?
Mayor, I'm ready to declare conflicts.
Right, please go ahead.
Oh, has he read the thing?
No, I'm going to read them now.
Who's going to read
He hadn't read this item.
Councillor Jeff.
Well, I'll read it out. 12.1, request for tender 23038. Restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Warroo East, Roadworks, package 1.
Mr. Mayor, going to do them both, save me coming back in, or what's the go?
Yeah, you can declare. We've got to deal with one item, but you can declare on two items.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item 12.1, request for tender 23038, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Warroo East Roadworks, package 1. Declaring council as myself, Jeff McMullen, the person of interest myself, particular of interest, I have a business arrangement with DMAC, type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, and actions, I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Just through the chair, I think that would be a PCOI, a prescribed conflict of interest if there's a business arrangement.
Prescribed, okay, prescribed conflict of interest.
Okay, and did you declare it on two items?
No, I will now, Mr Mayor, 12.2.
12.1 and 12.2, yeah.
We got it written up, Keller? No, it's up there. Thanks. Item 12.2, the descriptions, request for tender 23046-1, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil South Roadworks Package 1. The declaring councillor is myself, Jeff McMullen. The person with the interest is myself. Particulars of instance of a business arrangement with DMAC. Type of conflicts, the prescribed conflict of interest and actions. I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Righto. Any other conflicts? Righto. Okay, Councillor McMullen will leave the room.
He has left the room now, Mr Mayor.
Righto, thank you. Item 12.1, as I've already declared the name, do we have a mover?
I'll move, if you like.
Please go ahead.
Yep, thank you. I'd like to move that council select Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC, Roma as a preferred tenderer for tender 23038, restoration of public assets, Warroo East Roadworks Package 1 for the contract sum of $5,538 and $17.62, inclusive of GST, which includes $1,998,378.84 of contract work and $3,539,638 and 78 cents of provisional items.
Just through the chair, Councillor Ladbrokes, when you cited the figure 5,538,017.62, you said inclusive of GST. If you could just confirm that
Exclusive.
That's exclusive of GST.
That is exclusive.
Thanks.
Sorry about that.
And sorry,
exclusive
point two, apologies.
GST. And number 2, authorise the chief executive officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC, Roma and form a contract to carry out the works if final terms are acceptable.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that, Mr.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So is that 8-0?
8-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next one, 12.2. Request for tender 23046-1, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil South Roadworks Package 1.
I'm happy to move.
We got no other conflicts on this one?
No. I'm happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that Council 1 select Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC Roma as the preferred tenderer for tender 23046-1 restoration of public assets Bungil South Roadworks Package 1 for contract sum of $4,034,800.75 exclusive of GST. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter into final negotiations with Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC Roma, and form a contract to carry out the works if final terms are acceptable.
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we got a second up. Councillor Hancock. Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote.
I'll just speak, Mayor Golder. It's
Please
just
go ahead.
very good to see, this local firm getting all this work, employing locals, and they don't have to fly in, fly out. They're all good. So I think it's very encouraging.
Also, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say thank Deputy Director and his team for getting another good project on the road. On the road.
Yeah, on the road. Sounds like Willie Nelson on the road again.
Oh, oi. Got a vote
Any,
yet.
any other people who wish to speak? Yeah, I'd just like to say it's a far cry from what has happened in the past. It's good to see we're very pro-local. In fact, I can't remember when last we had a tender that went out of town. So it's very good to see support of competitive local business. Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All those against? So that's 8-0, is it?
That's right.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. The next item's 13.1, page 190.
Sure. Okay, Councillor McMullen's back.
Yes, just entering the chamber now.
I'm back.
Okay. Item 13.1, lease over reserved lot A on DL 419.
I have a conflict, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I have a conflict on 13.1, lease over reserve lot A on DL 419. The declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is Benjamin and Vicky Graham. The particulars of interest both are friends of myself and my husband and are mentioned in the report. It's a declarable conflict of interest and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Right, any other conflicts? Okay, if you let me know when Councillor Taylor's left.
Councillor Taylor's gone.
Okay, do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'll move that Council, one, advise the lessee and Department of Resources that it will enter into a trustee lease or a trustee permit in respect of Lot A on DL 419 at the expiry of the current lease. 2, recoup all fees associated with the preparation of the trustee lease - trustee permit from the lessee. And 3, charge an annual fee for occupation of the land with the schedule of fees to be presented at a future ordinary council meeting for decision.
Happy to second it.
Yeah, we've got a seconder, Councillor Burkett. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No,
We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. That's 8-0, is it?
That's correct, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
Gonna get Wendy back?
Oh, yeah.
You're younger than me.
Yeah.
Okay, 13.2, tender consideration plan, Great Artesian Spa Management Agreement.
I'm happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
You guys got nothing? All good? All good to go?
Yep.
I'd like to move that 1, council approve the use of a tender consideration plan, TCP, for the Great Artesian Spa Management Agreement. 2, the TCP be presented at a future meeting for council consideration.
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
I'm just wondering, obviously I've read the report, but how did this all sort of come about? I'm just a little bit concerned that we're not being, it's not open, like.
I didn't read that.
I'm just wondering how it's come about.
Well, we were, Director Baringa was aware that this contract was coming to its end. And there's a certain amount of notice that we have to give and Baringa Action Group have to give before the contract ends, whether, you know, to look at the contract. So we sat down with the CEO of Baringa Action Group and had to talk about what they'd done here and asked them to provide some evidence about the quality of managing the facility, the benefits to the community, to gather all that information so we could assess whether we would go with the tender consideration plan, whether that would provide a better outcome for the community or whether we would go to tender and see what happened. probably a month or so later, we got a report from the Warroo Action Group that detailed all the work they'd done not only in the Great Artesian Spa about employing people and the cafe and all that stuff, but they'd also done provided funds for a lot of other community benefits. So with that, I sort of come to the conclusion that a tender consideration would be with Warroo Action Group would be the best benefit for the community, whereas a private enterprise would really just focus on what's best for them. So, and also the Warroo Action Group are looking at getting funding to put more pools or spas in there. So, you know, to increase the numbers, and they'd increase the numbers significantly over the 3 years that they'd be managing it. So they've done an excellent job in managing it, done an excellent job in helping the community with funding and all that sort of stuff. So I saw that as something that should continue on, and that we wouldn't get a better benefit out of it going to tender and seeing what private enterprise could provide, because I would find it extremely hard to believe that they would provide something better to the community. You know, naturally they're focused on themselves and what's good for them, where Warroo Action Group's focused on what's good for the community, what's good for the facility, and they're creating employment in the town, so all positives. So it's pretty hard not to, I'm not a fan of tender consideration plans. I think they're the last loophole in the regulation for people who don't want to do the right thing. But I think the overwhelming benefit to the community through the Warroo Action Group, it suits this perfectly.
So my concern would be, and I can't agree more, I think Warroo Action Group have done an amazing job, and I actually love when you can see organisations who are actually building a business to help fund their organisation and putting back the community. So absolutely agree. But Director Seamus, what I am concerned about is how the community in general might look at this as to whether we're not being open and transparent, whether it looks like a done deal. Because I think they're good enough to stand alone, even go into tender. Do you know, I think that they could, I'm not going to say that. I think they're good enough to stand alone if we go to tender and go through that process where it seems more open. I am concerned about community perception with doing it this way. Can I just have your opinion on that?
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor. Through the chair. So we had a resolution, OM 11.2022/34, which asked us to develop options for a mutually beneficial agreement with the Warroo Action Group for consideration at a future meeting, incorporating tenure options, council support and ongoing asset management costs. Part of that, I guess as a result of that resolution, we went to the Warroo Action Group and said, what's your preferred, you know, how do you want to do this? What's your preferred model? They gave us 3 options. We sought some legal advice. It looks like the tender consideration plan was, seemed to be the best option. The legal advice we got, interestingly, we asked them 3 questions. You know, is it legal? They said yes. One of the questions we asked was, is it appropriate? And surprisingly, they said in that case yes, because it's such a small community. Potentially in Roma you wouldn't go down that track, but they said because it's Mitchell, it probably is a good option for you. I agree with you. I think that they would probably wipe out any competition. I mean, we have sort of hours there. Our council set hours are 9 till 11 or something, and then 2 till 6 or something like that. They're open through the whole day. They open from 8 till 6, and they don't close for lunch or anything like that. So they're doing well above and beyond what we're paying them to do. And they're obviously reinvesting in the place. So I think that they'd probably wipe any competition as well. But this is their preferred option, I suppose, and so we're bringing it to you. This I should just point out, this is only the first part. So in this meeting, we're just asking you to consider a tender consideration plan because it's that 2-part process. So if you agree to consider a tender consideration plan, we'll bring one back to you to look at. So you'll have another chop at it.
But what do you think the community perception will be?
Because the Warroo Action Group are doing such a good job, I don't think there'll be any blowback. There might be a couple of people that that say something about it, but I'd say on the whole, they'll probably say, well, it's a good outcome. I can imagine a couple of people having a crack at us about it.
There will be a couple.
Yeah.
How long does if we do a tender consideration plan, how long does that tie in with that? I guess like the tender was for a management agreement was for 3 years with an extension of 3. If we do a tender consideration plan, is it the same period we're looking at?
Well, currently we're looking at a 3 by 3 by 3. Now, that's what we're recommending. We can go with a 3 or a 3 by 3. And the reason we're going for a longer term or recommending a longer term is because the investment they want to put in the facility and they want to see the benefit from that investment flow back through Burringo Action Group to the community.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a seconder for this motion?
I'm happy to second Councillor Taylor's.
You
I
moved
moved
it.
it, sorry.
I'm happy to second.
I'm happy to do both.
You can't.
Who first?
How long have they had the
Yeah.
spa?
So Councillor Burkett, you moved it,
Yeah, sorry, just a bald moment.
and Councillor,
So this is the end of the 6 years.
Councillor Guthrie, happy to second.
I've just
Is
got a
that
question.
right, Councillor Guthrie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
I've just got
Righto,
a question, if that's all right.
please go.
We've still got to have buzzers eventually.
So the last time that they did this, it was an open tender,
Yes. Yeah.
and were they the only ones?
No.
There was more than one?
There was themselves and another private
Page
person.
199.
Oh, okay, righto.
Yeah, through the chair, the report details that on page 199.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, and away we go.
So
Okay.
in that case, back then, the council decided, the private person was the winning tender. Council decided to give Burringo Action Group a go at it, and that's been a good decision.
Sorry, I have another question.
Please go ahead.
So sorry, I just really need to get my head around it.
That's fine.
So the tender consideration plan we'll put forward would be the same time frame that we would have put forward if we went to tender,
Yes.
right?
Yes. it
So
would be
as for
different.
security for bag, that offers of no better security than the tender process to the, because if once you win the tender process, you win it for that period of time anyway, so it's no difference. The only real change for bag would be the fact that they actually don't have to apply for a tender
Yeah,
and they don't have to win a tender, they'll already do it.
that's right, yeah. If we went, probably the key difference, if we went to tender, we would be asking for tenderers to provide ideas about how they would invest in the facility. So that if we would see if private enterprise were going to actually put any money back into the facility, I think that would then put the assessment on a level playing field.
But that's assuming that only private enterprise puts in for it. By not
That's
going
right.
out to tender, we're actually stopping other groups from tendering
Yes.
that may wish as well. So
Correct.
Through the chair, what the tender consideration plan allows you to do is meet objectives other than the, sound contracting principles.
That's right. Yeah.
So essentially what that means is BAG is a social enterprise. So what you're doing is allowing the assessment of the applicable tenderer applicant to incorporate social benefit as well as pricing.
That's right. So
Private
we're not just
enterprise
handing
isn't
it
gonna
to
do
them. We're not just handing it to them.
We actually pay them, don't we?
We pay them.
So
That's right.
if they're the only ones for the tender consideration plan,
Yeah.
what if that figure is a lot?
Well, that will be negotiable. I mean, that's as you normally resolve. That's negotiable. So we would enter into negotiations with them about the contract and how long it's going to be and the price and all that sort of stuff. So
So if you're not happy with the price,
yep.
would you then go out for tender?
Well, yeah, we probably would. Yeah.
So who decides whether you're happy with the price?
Well, we'll bring it to you guys, to council.
Decide.
Okay.
And that's right. So the tender consideration plan, we'll go out and we'll, because we're not just looking at price, we're also looking at some criteria. What are they going to do? Public benefit, all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to put some of that together. So we'll come back with a report after the tender consideration plan to show that how it will work and whether it's good, bad.
I think that's good.
You know, just an opinion from us, and then you'll be the ultimate people who'll decide whether we go ahead or whether we don't go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
we're not
I
committing.
think
I've got a
we're not
question.
committing
Anyway,
now. I don't know why we're even debating this.
Well, we're
I
not
don't think
debating.
anyone
We're not
else will do a
Debating,
better
we're
job.
asking questions. Aren't we allowed to
We're
ask
just
questions?
trying to get asked
Why
questions.
do you think
Okay,
someone else
okay.
will do a better job, or
Just
what?
saying.
No, I just want to understand it.
I think through the chair, we knew the process would be a little bit tricky because it's this two-step where you basically agree to consider a tender consideration plan.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of it's that two-step process. So you kind of first, if you decide to have to tell us that you'll consider one, then we'll bring you one back for you to actually agree with or disagree with.
And you may well.
Question on that, sorry, that's one,
Right.
is that with this resolution, we're saying that we're approving to use a tender consideration plan.
That's right.
Okay, so then once you bring that back to us, if we can't find a happy medium or we can't, we decide that that's not the right way to go, and we vote against it, well, we're going to have to rescind this motion because we're actually saying that we're approving it. So wouldn't it be better to say that council consider the use of a tender and then we're actually agreeing with it once we've got the tender consideration in front? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep. Under the legislation, council has to resolve to use a tender consideration plan, and that's what we're asking here, for you to resolve that we will use a tender consideration plan. That's to use it. And you're approving the use of it, so you have to resolve that under the legislation. Then we'll go out and we'll put the plan together and we'll bring the plan back and say, well, here's the plan, here's the benefits, here's the pros, here's the cons, this is what's going to cost. And then you'll look at the plan and decide whether we approve the plan or we don't approve the plan. Or you might have some changes to the plan, So this is just under the legislation. We can't go forward until you resolve, yes, let's have a look. That's basically what we're saying. Council resolving it says, okay, well, we can have a look, we can put everything together and see whether we think the benefit is enough to keep going down that path, or we pull back and say, no, we'll go to tender.
Okay, Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Chair. Michael, is the submission that would be required under a TCP the same or more or less from a Bringer Action Group perspective?
Sorry,
like it's the work.
Response would it be?
Is the work the submission that has to be? Is the submission that would come in via a tender process the similar a similar level of work required in terms of submission under a TCP?
Yes, it's a similar amount of work. It's not a
A one-pager.
A one-pager, no, because we want to see how they're going to do it, how much it's going to cost, the benefits to the community, all that. So this, it's probably 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak when the time comes, please.
Righto. Okay, we'll get on with the debate. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I think first I'd just like to thank the endorser glowing remarks from the manager and the director, because they hit the mark. Since Bringer Action's taken over, you only got to look at the stats. Every year, every month of every year has gone up dramatically with visitation. They've won awards and employed a hell of a lot of people and supported the community in a number of ways. And personally, I looked into this myself when it first came up, and there's no way, the way it was worded or structured, a single entity wouldn't have been able to actually to fund it in a way, because the amount of money you would have needed for the first month for wages alone. So an entity like Bringer Action Group was able to do that, and it's been a godsend for the community. They've been to council in regards to this with a deputation about the pool and about considerations for a tender. So it's not new to us. They do operate longer hours, and I think they have struggled in the fact, I can say this openly, in early in the year with number of staff and pay increases and extra pays per month. I think they got caught for an extra week for the first week. So they have struggled, but they've kept that commitment to keep the employment going, and Bags had to carry that. So they are making a lot of sacrifices. They only close for 1.5 days a year. So yeah, they're just going from strength to strength. So I hope this process comes to fruition, and I'm fully supportive of it.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion? Or for the motion?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll speak for the motion. I think it's more than happy to look at this tender consideration plan, because from what I understand, basically it's a full tender, but we're only looking at one tender to start with, and then the staff will come back with a recommendation from there.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I fully support the tender consideration plan. I know that the non-for-profit has actually invested money in the Great Artesian Spa when it was struggling as far as mainly the amount of visitors at different times since they've had it, but they had the investment because they're a non-for-profit community group that they stuck with it and improved it, and it's been a very good success. So I'll certainly support this, and anyway we can grow population, in Mitchell, as well as employment and visitation. I think it's also great for locals as well. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, I would. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
Mr Mayor, I just want to thank the staff for answering our questions and articulating that so well. When something comes to the table like this that we haven't seen before, it's good due diligence to actually ask the questions and get the full understanding, so you can actually make an informed decision. So just because I was asking a lot of questions does not mean that I was against what was being put forward. It was actually that it is my job as a councillor to make sure I am doing due diligence and fully understand. So just thank you for answering those questions for me.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. All those
9-0.
9-0. Thank you. 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Item 13.3, Cobb & Co Festival, Australia's last run, 17th to 25th of August, 2024. Request for sponsorship and in-kind support.
Happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
Just want to clarify something with the CEO before I do. Point 1, the $50,000 sponsorship in the 2023-24, that's already went through in the budget this morning. So I'll just maybe acknowledge that. But the $50,000 for the in-kind sponsorship in the 23-24, I'm not sure if that was in the operational budget, because I didn't.
That's the additional request, isn't it?
No, that's for the in-kind, just for the in-kind for the festival.
Okay.
So maybe.
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Hancock, that'll be included in both our operational budgets. Probably just acknowledging it through the report.
So you think that it actually went through in the budget this morning?
Because through the chair, if we're not sure and we just say addition of in-kind sponsorship, at least you're sure.
Yeah.
We know
Yep.
that the dollar allocation has gone through.
Okay.
It's just the in-kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct, CEO.
Righto. And the extra money is for actually to do the pre-promotional stuff that the Mayor was talking to Jennifer Swennison about with the bullocks and going around the region, and so that's actually not on that event, it's for the pre-promotion. Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to move that Council approve sponsorship and in-kind support to the Cobb & Co Festival Committee for the 100th Anniversary Festival to include... It doesn't make sense, but anyway, to 100-year festival. 1, acknowledge a contribution of $50,000 ex-GST sponsorship in the 2023-24 budget.
Yep.
2, addition of $50,000 ex-GST for in-kind sponsorship in the 2023-24 budget.
I thought you said you weren't going to put an amount in there.
You know, no, that's what the officers.
Oh.
Yeah. And consider funding an additional $16,500 ex-GST. No, I'm not going to consider. I'm going to say fund an additional $16,500 ex-GST regional event from 23-24 sponsorship budget.
And did you want to look at number 3 being number 4, which is adjust items 1, 2 and 3 as part of the Q1?
Well, we're really going to be adjusting 1 and 2, 2 and 4, because number 1 definitely went in because I just checked. Yeah.
Quite right.
So adjust, include, sorry, Cal. Include items 1 and 4 in the Q1, 2023-24 budget review.
2 and 4?
2 and 4 it should be.
What did I say?
1 and 4.
Sorry, 2 and 4.
In there.
Yeah. Is that right,
Yeah.
Director Matt? Yeah. And Director Steve?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Thank
Do
you.
we have a second for that motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Okay, does the move wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm really happy to be supporting the 100-year anniversary for the Cobb and Co Festival. It's going to be an amazing event for not only the township of Surat and Yulbar, but our whole region. And I really look forward to supporting the committee with these funds and the in-kind sponsorship to make this a really spectacular show. They are talking, as the councillors have heard at the briefing, they are talking national media, and the amount of economic value that this is going to generate to our region will be fantastic. And so I just want to congratulate them for already working very hard and volunteering their time to put on such a wonderful festival for our whole community. And the addition of the $16,500 for the promotion of the regional event, that will just add to our local community's experience with that event. And so, I'm very excited about it. It only happens every 5 years. So it's great that we can put some funds towards it to support it.
Okay,
To you, Mr Mayor, who was the seconder? Sorry, I missed that.
Councillor Burkett.
Councillor Burkett.
You're sounding like
Does anyone else wish to speak to the motion?
Sorry, what was that?
Did anyone else want to speak?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to speak for the motion. I think it's a fantastic event. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that I know in the past some 100-year anniversary things have probably the ball's been dropped, but I think this one we're going to be ticking all the boxes. So I'm really looking forward, and I hope the whole community, the whole region gets behind it, and I wish all the organising committee all the best for the future event.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I think what a wonderful festival. I get a lot of feedback that they want. People want us to save as much heritage as we can, and having this reenactment every 5 years and having the local story of Cobb and Co, which is definitely part of our past, is very valuable. So we certainly will be supporting the volunteers that put this on, and I hope every festival we support them more in kind and take the pressure off with our own staff in support. So it certainly happened in the past, but I'd like to see it even more, and look forward to the plans coming forward on how they're going to do that. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
I'd just like to sum up, if that's okay, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If no one else wants to speak. Yep. I just wanted to say that we adopted our corporate plan this morning, and we've just ticked a box if this goes through, because we heard very clearly both at Surat and at Yulbar that when the question was asked, what do you want us to be famous for? It's the Cobb and Co Festival and tourism. And so this resolution is absolutely in line with the corporate plan that we adopted this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, then on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. So is that 9-0?
Yes.
9-0.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, moving on to the next
Item 14.1, page 221.
221. 14.1, payment to Queensland local government, mutual managed by Jardine, Lloyd, Thompson, Pty Ltd, annual liability insurance payment. Do we have a mover?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that Council 1 authorise payment to Queensland Local Government Mutual, LGM Liability, totalling $374,304.11, including GST, being payment for the LGM Liability Membership Contribution 2023-2024, $431,302.81 less annual surplus distribution of $56,998.70. And 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to approve the purchase order with expenditure assigned to the 2023-24 budget allocation for liability insurance. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to complete future payments invoiced by Queensland Local Government Mutual in accordance with budget approvals.
Do we have a seconder? I'll second that.
Councillor Taylor did, Mr Mayor, sorry.
Councillor Taylor. I didn't hear Councillor Taylor, but I'm happy to go with Councillor Taylor. So, does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yes. So is that 9-0?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. With Councillor Taylor's microphone, it might be good if it's a bit closer or something. I really can't hear.
I'm loaning her mine, but I don't like sharing, Mr Mayor.
Right, well, yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one.
14.2, page 240.
240. Um, 14.2, material change of use, undefined use, domestic shed, reference 2023/20810.
I've got a question.
Please go ahead.
Through the chair, Danielle, what's currently on this site? I've looked it up on maps and whatever. I just can't really work out what's there now.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the site is currently vacant, and that's actually the reason why a planning application was triggered in this instance, because even though it's intended that the shed be used for domestic purposes, when it's not associated with a dwelling, it's classed differently. And that's the reason for the planning process. But that's the applicant's intention, to use it for domestic use and to build a house in future. And they've positioned it towards the back of the block so they can build the house at the front of the property.
And just to follow up then, thanks Danielle, is it, was there a house there at some point, or was this a block that was subdivided?
I am not aware of there being a house there. When the application was lodged, it was a vacant property, and I believe it has existed for some time.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a mover?
I have a question. The Councillor Taylor has just asked a question, but you have to speak in the mic.
Please go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I was just asking whether they were intending to live in it before they build their house.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that's the development application states that they're using it for domestic storage, and this approval will only be for use as a domestic shed. So it won't be constructed to a livable standard. So that would, if they were to do that, it wouldn't be in compliance with the recommended approval.
I've got a question, but I'm happy to move. Manager Danielle, did this tick all their boxes? Like they're happy with this? Because I've spoken to the gentleman and like he was waiting for this to happen, so he's happy with it if this goes through?
I believe so. In terms of requirements for a shed, like the maximum building floor area setbacks, it meets all of those.
Yep.
And it's set back from the sewer line, which is in the property. So from that perspective, we're very happy with it.
That's good.
So just my question.
But, yeah, go ahead.
Just noticed in the report it says there were no properly made submissions received during this period. Were there any?
There were no submissions at all received.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, I just got a question to Manager Danielle. Do you think, that the applicant will be happy if this goes through with the recommendation?
I believe so, Mr Mayor. That's what they've applied for, is a shed for domestic storage, they've said. So, and we're recommending approval of that. So I think they'll be getting what they've requested.
Righto. Thank you. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that the development application for material change of use for an undefined use domestic shed located 88 Alice Street, Mitchell, described as Lot 1 on SP 236763, be approved subject to the listed conditions and general advice below.
I'll move that.
Do I have to put numbers on that?
No, just as
Open
as listed.
as listed, or whatever you want to put, Kel, I'm happy.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second. Yep, Councillor Ladbroke.
Councillor Ladbroke. Okay, does anyone wish to speak to it?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'm pretty happy for this to go through because this gentleman, he's invested, he bought 2 blocks of land in town. He was going to sell the other block to spend money on this so he can build his house out the front of the shed, and he was just waiting on this to go through. So I spoke to him in the early stages, so thanks to the staff for letting this come through, and it's good to have another potential house being built in Mitchell, and these guys have got accommodation at the moment, so yeah, they're not going to be living in the shed, so thank you.
Righto, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. As Mayor, I'm very interested in being able to find a solution that our residents want. I think the more we do that in planning, the more we get people are happy to come through with planning applications rather than not have them. So I think the more accommodating and friendly, as well as sticking to our planning scheme, means that it's a better thing for the region. And as Councillor Burkett said, opportunity for another house. So I'm very glad that the staff believe that they'll be happy with this approval because that's what they've applied for. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 And yes. So is that 9-0?
Yes.
Yes.
Righto. Okay. Moving on to the next number.
274 it is.
Thank you.
14.3.
14.3, material change of use, low impact industry, extension of tyre shop.
I'll move that if you like, Mayor Golder.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move, or council like to move, that the develop application for the material change of use for the low impact industry, extension of tyre shop located at 95 Arthur Charles Street, Roma, described as lot 228 on R8613, be approved subject to the listed condition and general conditions
Sorry, Councillor.
general advice.
Do you mind if I just jump in just to ask a question, please?
No.
Just on my conflict. 95A Charles Street. Danielle, what tyre place is this?
Crawford's.
The other shop, isn't it?
It is Crawford's, through you, Mr Mayor. It's their secondary premises.
And
So they
where is
operate.
that?
Near
They
the railway
operate.
line.
Opposite the Railway Hotel, the White Bull, the old, where the other tyre shop was.
And where are they? Sorry, I'm not clear. When you say extending, what are they extending?
Building a shed.
Building a new office or whatever on the
Shed.
site.
Operate from two premises. So they have one on the highway, which they already have a development approval to expand on, and they also operate opposite the White Bull Tavern on the corner of Charles and Station Street, and that is what this development application relates to. They're building a second shed on the site and expanding their operations on this property.
There was another tyre place there, Cameron.
No, I understand. Yeah,
A couple of years ago.
I was just working out if there was any impact, of course, to Golden West, which I'm of the board of, which is next door.
Golden West.
Can
It-
I
it
say
adjoins-
Golden West is mentioned? Page 288.
And it joins Golden West. If that's what you're asking.
Thanks, Councillor.
Page 288. At the bottom of the page.
288. Oh, Mayor, just for completeness, I'll just declare a declarable conflict of interest on item 14.3, if I can, please.
Righto, go ahead.
The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. I'll just wait for Kel might have a. The report is obviously what we're talking about. The person with the interest is myself. The particulars of the interest: I am a non-executive director of Golden West Apprenticeships. Golden West Apprenticeships are an adjoining landowner to the development application. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest. And although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Righto, do we have anybody with wording?
I have some wording.
Please go ahead.
I believe that it is in the public interest that Councillor O'Neill participates and votes on agenda item 14.3. Because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest. A reasonable person.
Okay. We need a seconder for that.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Okay. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 8-0.
So is that a right?
8-0, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. 8-0. Okay, we'll keep going. Councillor Ladbrook, you were moving it.
Sorry, just going back. Where was that, 8 or 9?
8-0.
The councillor
Oh,
that
yes.
was declaring their interest didn't participate in the vote. So 8-0.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's cool.
Read that again, Mayor Gola. Or didn't I read it?
Yeah, if you want to keep going with moving your motion.
Apologies.
I'd like to move that the development application for material change of use for a low impact industry extension of tyre shop located at 95A Charles Street, Roma, described as lot 228 on R8613, be approved subject to listed conditions and general advice. Do I have to read down further, or that's it? That's it.
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Okay, we've got a seconder, Councillor Hancock. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Yeah, I will. I'm just happy that, a lot of these vacant blocks in Roma are getting used and for businesses. So it says a lot for the town, and it's all good.
Okay, and anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak to it. What I'd like to say is, yeah, certainly in support of new businesses, new developments for existing businesses. One of the things that since the council of this term has reduced the rates, I believe it's now an opportunity for business to start doing things. That improves our community, improves the service, and very glad to see these sort of applications coming to council. Does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. So is that 9-0?
Yes, it is.
Correct.
Thank you. 9-0. Moving on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, what's the next item there, please?
Through the chair, it is item 14.4 on page 319.
319. 14.4, Easter in the Country in-kind assistance. We have a mover.
I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report, 2 acknowledge this report and acts resolution number OM/11.2022/63.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'll second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor McMullen. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
I'm just wondering, does the Director or LDO have anything they wish to say or add to?
Look, other than to say that I thought the event this year was fantastic. The numbers were really incredible and the feedback across the board was extraordinary, and certainly for Roma the whole town was alive and all the activities were on. And from my point of view, the contribution that council made and the staff who worked in those dark wee hours setting up for the street parade, etc., is all those sorts of things is a real credit to the team.
And you'd be able to, and you're comfortable with the sponsorship money that you've put forward to be able to deliver what they need for this next year?
Oh, look, certainly, there's always things you can do better in the learnings, and fundamentally working early with the committee next year around what they would like for a successful event, and then that's where council come into play as far as what we can do to help facilitate all those things that we can do for the contribution for that event. So I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, it's great. And, yeah.
Okay, does anyone else?
Just have a comment. I'm just pleased that we've been able to get a detailed costing of in-kind assistance that the council does give, because we were criticised that we weren't keeping the end of the bargain. Well, it just shows that we doubled up on in-kind assistance and what it costs the council, which I think that's very important, and we know where we stand.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
I'm happy to speak, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
Just happy to support this resolution. Just want to acknowledge the work done by the Easter in the Country Committee, which is volunteer, and the economic impacts that makes or that generates into our community is essential for this community. Investing in tourism events is important to assist our economic development of this community, and this is one of the major events that council does support year in and year out. Happy to continue to support that, and good to hear that the director is going to work closely with the committee early on, because some of the comments that we had was not necessarily even about the support of the events, but some of the ways that council could look at our infrastructure outside the event to actually help support the event grow into the future. And so that would be, for me, I'm really interested to hear that feedback. So strategically we can plan into the future on what, where we need to spend some budget to enhance our infrastructure to enhance the success of that event. So thanks for that.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. It's good to see that, you know, in-kind assistance, $39,000, you know, sponsorship of $20,000. You know, these are figures that are supporting community groups, and Easter in the Country Committee do a very good job. It's a major event for the region, and certainly very happy to support it. Does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Is that 9-0?
Yes.
Yes, that is.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We've got a late closed item here.
Is it closed?
Yes, written closed on it, yeah. Should we add that to the agenda before we go into closed, please?
Yeah. So through the chair, could we, there's an item without notice proposed.
Oh, that's different to the L1, is it? Or the L?
Yes. I'll just make sure you've got those.
This one's got an office support. Or is this a different one?
No, the item without notice is a variation to regional bitumen stabilisation contract, Mount Moffatt road scope.
Oh, a different one. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead, Councillor McMullen.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the subject heading variation to regional bitumen stabilisation contract, Mount Moffatt road scope, be added to the closed agenda for today's meeting, please.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'm happy to second it.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, 9-0.
9-0, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
th of April 2021, and nothing has changed for that particular item, which is C3. I also have a conflict of interest that I declared at our last ordinary meeting that has continued to today's meeting for C6. Both of them are assessments involving supplementary rate notices, and I will choose to leave the room while the discussions are underway and voting undertaken.
Okay, so Councillor Guthrie, with all of those items in that sort of vein, are you going to declare a conflict on those?
I previously have they're exactly the same as has been tabled before, so nothing's changed. I'm just doing a reminder that I have previously declared a conflict for these two matters.
Right, okay. Thank you. Any other conflicts?
Yes, I have one on C1.
Please go ahead.
Description is rates and utilities write-off of doubtful debts. The declaring councillor is myself. The person with the interest is myself, I suppose. Particularly is the interest, the legal firm Spark Helmore that is representing the party related to C1 is a legal firm I have engagement with relating to an unrelated matter. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Okay, do we have someone with the wording?
I have some wording.
Please go ahead.
I believe that is in the public interest that Councillor O'Neill participates and votes on agenda item C1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Okay, we got a seconder.
Yep.
All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Councillor Taylor, I'm not hearing you, or Councillor Hancock.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm hearing the others very clearly. So, yeah.
I think we're saying yes at the
Probably
same time.
clashing a bit, yes.
Yeah.
I'll just
But I
have to
think-
beat it to it next time.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Now, right, any other conflicts? Okay, then do we have someone to move into closed?
Oh, I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
In accordance with the provisions of Section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Council resolved to close the meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with Section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed and an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. Agenda item C1, rates and utilities write-off of doubtful debts. C2, payment arrangement assessments 15020894, 15004831, 15006679, 15006661, 15010994, 13003835, 15005069, 15004922. C3, concession application assessments 15011919. C4, Injune Retirement Village Support 2023-24. C5, Lake Neverfill Water Pipeline Damage. C6, Assessment 15020910, Supplementary Rate Notice. C7, Expression of Interest Audit Committee Member. LC1, Roma Saleyards Claim for Damages. LC2, Variation to Regional Bitumen Stabilisation Contract, Mount Moffatt Road Scope.
That's it.
Do you need a seconder for that? To go into closed?
Yes, you just need a second. That's right.
Yep. Okay, so do we have a seconder?
Yeah, happy to second.
Okay. So now we've got a seconder. Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. 9-0. Thank you. Okay, do we have someone to move into closed? Oh, we've done that. So, okay, moving on. We're back to
C1, page
what
3.
we're in open.
Yep.
C1, rates and utilities write-off of doubtful debts. Do we have a mover? Please go ahead.
That Council 1, contact the Department of Resources outlining our concerns in relation to Petroleum Lease PL-441 and potential environmental remediation concerns. 2, contact the landowner to investigate remaining infrastructure on the site. And 3, defer this report to a future meeting.
I'll second that, Mayor Golder.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No, thanks.
Righto, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And Councillor Taylor, I haven't been able to hear you, but you're in favour.
All here, Mr Mayor.
Righto. Okay, so moving on to C2, payment arrangements, assessment number 15020894, 15004831, 15006679, 15006661, 15010994, 13003835, 15005069, and 15004922. Do we have a mover?
Yep, I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
I'll move that Council 1 approve the applicant's payment arrangement as proposed in accordance with sections 1201G, 121B and 1225 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. 2, advise the ratepayer that the next 2 financial years of rates levied on each assessment and accrued interest will be included in this payment arrangement. 3, advise the ratepayer that a review of the assessments will be conducted every 6 months until the debt has been paid in full. 4, will continue with the rate debt recovery process should the ratepayer fail to make the required proposed payments on or before each due date to reduce the outstanding amount. 5, enter into a formal agreement in relation to payment option 4.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
We have a second to Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No thanks.
Right, I will go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 All here, Mr.
Yes.
Yes. And yes. So that's 9-0, I take it.
Yes.
Righto, move on to the next one.
Mr Mayor, can I just advise that I have a conflict and I'll leave the room.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you let me know when Councillor Guthrie's left the room?
Thank you.
Okay, so if Councillor Guthrie's left the room, C3, concession application assessment number 15011919.
I'll move that, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
That council, the recommendation is that council lay this on the table for a briefing prior to its return, and 2, provide provide all relevant assessments with a further discount period to the 31st of July 2023.
Through the chair, can I just suggest a change instead of a further discount, a further extension to the discount period, just so that we understand that it is an extension.
I'll just read that again.
Thank you.
No, I want to read again.
Well, then if you read again, you've got to say number 1 because you missed it.
I'll start number 1 again then. I'd like to move that council lay this on the table for a briefing prior to its return. And number 2, this is to keep Councillor Burkett happy, provide all relevant assessments with a further extension of the discount period to the 31st of July 2023.
Number 1 again.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, and Councillor Ladbrook, you're happy to put the to help Councillor Burkett or whatever. That's just a comment. Doesn't need
Certainly
to go on
am.
the motion. Righto.
All the help
Okay,
we can get
seconder, happy with that?
Yeah, Mr Mayor.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the...
Oh, straight to the vote.
Righto. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
8-0,
That's
Mr
8-0.
Mayor.
Do we need to bring Julie
Thank
back?
you.
We do. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
The yeses are getting quicker and
We're getting thrown around here, aren't they?
George is getting plenty of practice, isn't he?
He keeps that number 1, isn't it number 1?
He does. You'd wonder why.
Yeah, she's back
Page
in.
33, Mr Mayor, we're ready to go.
Righto. C4, Injune Retirement Village Support 2023-24.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council I'm going to read. The council, 1, acknowledge support during 2022-23 for the amount of $75,000. 2, note the financial contribution request of $80,000 from the Injune Retirement Village is already included in the 2023-24 operational budget. And 3, advise Rotary accordingly and invite them to provide an annual update.
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Okay, and also would just wondering whether the mover would like to advise the Injune Retirement Village Committee and subsequent committees of our decision.
Hey, I'm happy to put that in, Mr Mayor.
Right, is the second happy with that?
Yes.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
So we're just
Mr Mayor,
Sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say, Mr Mayor, I think it's good that we can support the Injune Retirement Village and keep the facility going. Not only the Injune Retirement Village, but all our retirement villages across the state are becoming more and more dependent on. So I think the more we can do, the better.
Yeah, okay. Does anyone else wish to speak?
I'd just also like to acknowledge the support of Rotary for the Injune community.
Okay, no one else wishes to speak. I'll speak. I do think, in fact, I've been aware of communities where council has wanted to distance itself and it didn't go well. The community really relies on this facility. It's actually, as has been said, it is more people in the facility, and having someone, a steward like Pinaroo involved in Rotary, I believe it should keep it in safe hands. And if council can do this on behalf of the people, it's a very good support to keep the community of Injune and residents having options. Does anyone else wish to speak? Right, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
9-0.
Yep, thank you. C5, Lake Neverfill water pipeline damage.
I'm happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
That council, 1, receive and note the report. 2, repair the leak immediately with an interim solution and be provided a further report on costings for a long-term solution.
I'll second that.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak?
Probably just to say, Mr Mayor, it's been great to have such a tight turnaround. When we first was informed of the decision 2 weeks ago, and at this council meeting we're putting forward a solution to rectify the problem, which will help out a volunteer group, and so happy to support this recommendation.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak as well. Very important piece of infrastructure. Water is important to a region, especially like Roma, which doesn't have that much surface water. So anything we can do to support the local association and get this solved will be the benefit of the whole region. Okay, if there's no one else, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thank you.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay, 9-0. Righto, moving on to C6, assessment 150-20910, supplementary notice.
Mr Mayor, I'm just advising I've got a conflict and I'm leaving.
Righto.
Councillor Guthrie has left the room.
Thank you. So do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council lay this on the table for a briefing.
Number 1.
Okay, the council, number 1, laid this on the table for a briefing prior to its return, and 2, provide a further extension to the discount period to 31st of July 2023.
Happy to second that, Mr Mayor.
Okay, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 13, Bill.
And yes. Councillor Edwards, were you in favour?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, 8-0. Okay, moving on.
you.
If we could let me know,
Is
Councillor.
page 57?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me know when the councillor's back in the room.
She's back in the room.
Okay, expressions of interest, Audit Committee member. Do we have a mover?
I'll move
Please go ahead.
that the application, move that council, the application of John Perry be endorsed by council and to be accepted as an audit committee member for the Maranoa Regional Council.
I'll second that. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No.
Then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes, 9-0. Okay, moving on to LC1. LC1, Roma Saleyards claim for damages March 2023. I'd like to move that that council, on receipt of a statutory declaration that states that this does not form part of any other claim, e.g. insurance, and that it's true and accurate record detailing the incident, reimburse the claimant for the amount of $5,072.40, including GST being the cost of the recovery of claim paid to stock loss on the following conditions. A, council and the claimant acknowledge that council are not legally liable for the incident. B, the claimant agrees to accept the amount of $5,072.40 as full and final settlement of all claims arising from the alleged incident on 30th of March 2023, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute the deed of release. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Councillor McMullen, does anyone wish to speak to it? Then we're going to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Sorry, yes.
Yeah, and yes, anybody against?
No.
No, all good, Mr Mayor.
9-0.
So it's 9-0 then. Okay, the item without notice. Variation to the regional bitumen stabilisation contract, Mount Moffatt road scope.
I'll move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move the council 1, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to order a variation under the existing contract with Durac Civil Proprietary Limited to undertake the bitumen rehabilitation scope for Mount Moffatt Road outlined in the 2023-24 budget. 2, assign expenditure to the 2023-24 budget allocation for the Mount Moffatt Road rehabilitation project.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
We have a seconder. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Mr Mayor, I do.
Oh, you're right. No, you go.
No, you moved. You go first.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to say that this is another, take my hat off to Deputy Director Cameron, another cost saving and showing a lot more efficiency by including 2 projects in the one, and cutting turnaround time and moving machinery. And I think the residents up north are going to be really thankful for this.
Okay, do we have Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I just want to further pass on my congratulations and thank the Deputy Director and publicly acknowledge that he's consistently bringing to council cost savings initiatives and way to find efficiencies for council. And I just want to acknowledge the great work he is doing for and on behalf of council.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to just add to that, not add to it, echo it. This is not the first time Deputy Director Cameron's brought some of these efficiency and cost savings to us, and he's continually doing it, and he needs to be acknowledged well for that, because this one is quite a considerable saving to us by following on with the project while the machinery's there.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak to this. I think this is an excellent motion to go up at council. I'd too like to acknowledge the Deputy Director. I remember a time in the past when, before operating locally, that the pressure was incredible in my opinion, on the director as far as the we now have many more people in the region looking after our roads, and I really believe that this gives an opportunity. Whilst the Deputy Director is still very busy, I believe he has more time to think strategically and to focus on that, and he's very good at it. So I'm glad that he has more time to do it, and we're getting the fruits of giving him enough time, as well as the many other hats he wears. So congratulations, Deputy Director. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to echo your points. I do agree. I think this is freshened Deputy Director up. But also I just want to acknowledge all staff. The last 2 days, I know I'm probably not supposed to say it right now in this motion, but the last 2 days has shown how good our workforce is, and I think full day yesterday and today, and it wouldn't be possible without the good staff we got under us. So thanks very much to everyone.
Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Is that 9-0?
Definitely 9-0. Well done, very well.
9-0.
Yeah, 9-0, yes.
Mr Mayor.
Right,
hidden ones?
No, I don't think so.
Any further business, councillors?
No, thanks.
No, thank you.
Righto, we'll close the meeting at 5:59 p.m. and thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.